Snickers is so popular they sell about 400 million bars a year, enough to circle the Earth more than 5 times. Yeah, 5 times. So now that you're imagining a Snickers chain wrapping around the planet, have you ever wondered what actually goes into making them? Before we get our hands sticky with caramel and peanuts, let's snack on a little bit of history. The Snickers bar was invented way back in 1930 by the Mars family. And get this, it wasn't named after some wild new flavor or a genius marketing idea. Nope, it was named after the family's favorite horse. Yes, a horse. Snickers the horse apparently left quite the legacy, but let's be real, his candy counterpart has galloped way past him in popularity. Sorry, buddy. Now, the Mars family wasn't new to the candy game. The family patriarch, Frank Mars, had already created the Milky Way bar in 1923, which was a massive hit. He wanted to follow up that success with something that had even more texture and flavor. Enter the Snickers bar, which combined the chewy nougat from Milky Way with the satisfying crunch of roasted peanuts and rich caramel. And of course, the whole thing was enrobed in a thick layer of chocolate. The idea was to create a snack that offered the perfect mix of sweet and salty, something that could fill you up and satisfy a variety of cravings. Snickers quickly became a fan favorite. And here's a fun fact to chew on. Today, Snickers is the best-selling candy bar in the world. Over 400 million Snickers bars are sold every year. That's a whole lot of peanuts. The combination of nougat, caramel, peanuts, and chocolate hits all the right notes for candy lovers. And it hasn't changed much since its debut. People loved it back in the 1930s, and they're still loving it today. In fact, if you stacked all the Snickers bars sold annually, you'd have enough to circle the Earth more than 5 times. Now that's a lot of Snickers. But enough with the history lesson, let's fast forward to how this choosy masterpiece gets made. Brace yourselves, because this journey is going to be nuttier than you think. First things first, to make a Snickers bar, you need the essentials: nougat, caramel, peanuts, and chocolate. Simple, right? Not so fast. Just like the best recipes, it's all about how these ingredients come together that makes the magic happen. Snickers even produces enough bars each year to feed the entire population of the US twice. That's how popular this candy is. Let's head into the factory and take a peek behind the scenes at how it all starts. First up, nougat. Making nougat on an industrial scale is a little different from whipping up a small batch at home, as if you're casually making nougat for your next bake sale. In the factory, they start by combining sugar, corn syrup, and water in these massive steel vats that could probably hold a small swimming pool's worth of nougat. The syrup is heated until it reaches just the right temperature. Too hot and you've got yourself a nougat brick. Too cool and well, you'd have nougat soup. Neither is ideal. Once it's ready, they slowly add whipped egg whites to give the nougat that fluffy, chewy texture we know and love. Then it's beaten to within an inch of its life by industrial whisks that are so powerful, they could probably launch a car. The result? A soft, chewy base that's ready to be layered. The nougat is spread out across giant conveyor belts where it forms this never-ending sheet of sweet, chewy goodness. It's basically a nougat magic carpet rolling through the factory. At this point, the nougat is the foundation, patiently waiting for its gooey and crunchy companions to join the party. Now it's time for the caramel. If you thought nougat was cool, wait until you see the caramel process. This isn't just your average caramel, it's Snickers caramel, so you know it has to be next level. First, they melt down sugar, milk, and butter until it turns into that rich golden syrup we know and love. Then it's poured directly onto the moving sheet of nougat like some kind of caramel waterfall from heaven. This is the part of the process that looks like it was designed by someone who said, "You know what would make this better? If we could just drown everything in caramel." Here's where things get really technical. The caramel has to be just the right consistency. Too runny, and it's a sticky mess. Too firm and it won't flow properly. Over the nougat, it's a balancing act, and the machines are calibrated to make sure that caramel is, as Goldilocks would say, just right as it spreads over the nougat. The conveyor belts move along steadily, giving the caramel enough time to settle. Oh, and if you ever wanted to walk under a caramel waterfall, I hate to break it to you, but they probably wouldn't let you. It's a VIP candy-only experience. Now what's a Snickers without it's peanuts, it'd just be a chocolate-covered nougat blob, not quite the same, right? Peanuts are like the star of the show, adding that satisfying crunch that makes each bite better than the last. First, the peanuts go through their own roasting process. They're tossed around in massive ovens, getting evenly roasted so they have just the right amount of crunch. It's like the peanuts are having their own spa day, except, with fire instead of relaxing oils. After their peanut spa treatment, they take a trip to meet the caramel-covered nougat. Imagine a peanut confetti machine showering these crunchy little heroes over the top of the bar as it moves along the conveyor belt. It's peanut perfection. Each bar gets its fair share of nuts, ensuring that you get that ideal balance of salty and sweet in every bite. There are about 16 peanuts in every bar. That may not sound like a lot, but when you're eating a Snickers, you feel like you've just taken a dive into a peanut paradise. Alright, now we're at the grand finale, the chocolate coating. At this point, you've got a pretty tasty bar with nougat, caramel, and peanuts, but we all know that Snickers wouldn't be Snickers without that chocolate coating. Here's where things get real Willy Wonka. The bars move toward this giant chocolate waterfall, yes, that's a real thing, where they're coated in a glorious curtain of milk chocolate. Seriously, it's like something out of your wildest candy dreams. As the bars pass under the waterfall, they're drenched in smooth chocolate, which immediately starts hardening as they cool. But here's a little secret, Snickers doesn't just stop there. At one coat? Oh no, these bars are double dipped. The first coat is thin, sealing everything in, and the second coat gives it that thick chocolate layer that cracks perfectly when you bite into it. What the heck, right? Double chocolate. Can we get a round of applause for this kind of dedication to deliciousness? Once the bars are completely covered, they're sent through a cooling tunnel. This long conveyor belt moves the bars through a chilly zone where the chocolate sets just right. It's like a chocy Arctic journey for these little bars of joy. After the bars have survived their chocolate waterfall adventure, they're sliced and diced into the perfect Snicker size. Huge machines equipped with incredibly sharp blades cut the giant sheets into individual bars, and these bars are whisked off to be wrapped at lightning speed. The wrapping machines are something to behold. These bars are zipping down the line like they're in a race, and before you know it, they're snugly wrapped in that familiar brown and white packaging with the iconic Snickers logo. It's as if the bars are getting their own superhero costume before being shipped out to save the world from hunger-related grumpiness. You can buy Snickers in various sizes. There's the classic bar, but then there's also the fun size, which is only fun until you realize you want 5 more, the king size because, let's be real, you're a snack royalty, and even Snickers ice cream bars. So yeah, they're pretty much taking over the snack world one variation at a time. Now I know what you're thinking, do they really just throw these bars in a box and ship them? Oh no, before any Snickers bar leaves the factory, it has to go through some pretty intense quality control. Think of this as the snack police. Every single bar gets inspected to make sure it's up to Snickers standards. And let me tell you, the standards are high. There are machines that check the weight, the shape, and even the distribution of peanuts. If a bar is too heavy, too light, or it doesn't have that perfect peanut placement, it's rejected. I imagine there's a special room somewhere in the factory where all the bad Snickers bars go, a place I'd personally love to visit. Snickers isn't just a candy bar, it's a cultural icon. You've probably seen the famous "You're not you when you're hungry" ads. We've all had those moments where we're about to lose it and someone hands us a Snickers to save the day. It's more than a snack, it's a solution. And let's be honest, it works every time. Whether you're eating a Snickers during a marathon, I'm talking about watching one not running, or grabbing one during a long road trip, this candy bar has become the go-to snack for all occasions. It's reliable, it's satisfying, and it has everything you could ever want in a bite. Sweet, salty, crunchy, and chewy. But wait, there's more. Snickers has evolved way beyond the classic bar we all know and love. Today you can find Snickers in a variety of forms. From Snickers ice cream bars to Snickers minis, those cute little bite-sized versions of the original. They've even made Snickers protein bars for those who want to indulge while pretending to be healthy. Let's face it, no matter what form Snickers comes in, it's always a winner. And there you have it, the sweet, nutty journey of how Snickers bars are made. From whipping up the nougat to that legendary chocolate waterfall, Snickers is a candy bar crafted with love and a lot of industrial machinery. It's a crunchy, gooey masterpiece that's been satisfying cravings for decades. Now we've got to ask, is Snickers your ultimate go-to, or does another chocolate bar steal the crown for you? Let us know your favorite in the comments below. We're making a big change to Reese's peanut butter. Applause. Music cups, we're adding a delicious layer of caramel. I love caramel, but we're only making a few of them. Did you know that Americans consume enough Reese's peanut butter cups each year to stretch to the moon and back? Yeah, that's how much people love this candy. But have you ever wondered what makes these little chocolate peanut butter masterpieces so irresistible? Whether you're munching on one during a movie or secretly hoarding them in your drawer, no judgment. There's more going on behind the scenes than you'd think. Let's dive in and see how Reese's makes magic happen. Peanut butter cups didn't just pop out of nowhere, they've got quite the backstory. Let's rewind to the 1920s when Harry Burnett Reese, a former dairy farmer with a penchant for candy making, came up with the brilliant idea to combine two of America's favorite things, chocolate and peanut butter. His candy-making journey didn't begin in some massive factory or high-tech kitchen. Nope, he started right in the basement of his house in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Talk about humble beginnings. Reese was working for the Hershey Company at the time, and being surrounded by chocolate all day must have sparked some inspiration. He decided to create his own candy, combining smooth chocolate with creamy peanut butter, two things that sound like they were destined to be together, and thus, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup was born. At first, Reese sold these sweet treats as penny cups, named after their affordable 1-cent price tag. Despite the hardships of the Great Depression, penny cups became a hit because, well, who could resist a cheap and delicious chocolate and peanut butter combo? By the time Reese passed away in 1956, his basement-born creation had grown into a candy empire. In 1963, his old employer Hershey purchased the H.B. Reese Candy Company for a whopping $23.5 million, which, fun fact, would be worth over $200 million in today's dollars. Now Reese's cups are sold in over 110 countries, and the brand has expanded to include all kinds of peanut butter and chocolate delights, from Reese's Pieces to Reese's Big Cups. In 2019, Reese's introduced Reese's Thins, a slimmer version of the classic cup for those who want to enjoy the flavor with a little less guilt. But, despite all the spin-offs, the classic Reese's Peanut Butter Cup remains the top dog. Why mess with perfection, right? Let's jump into the factory to see how Reese's peanut butter cups are actually made. The journey starts with the main ingredient, peanuts. Now Reese's doesn't just grab any old peanuts off the shelf. Oh no, they use specific varieties like Virginia or Runner peanuts, which are known for their rich flavor and uniform size, the perfect base for that iconic peanut butter filling. These peanuts are sourced from the southern United States, with farms in Georgia, Alabama, and other peanut-growing states supplying the goods. Once they arrive at the factory, it's time for some quality checks. Reese's doesn't mess around when it comes to peanut quality. Only the best of the best make it into your cup. Once approved, the peanuts are sent to giant roasting ovens. These ovens can roast up to 18,000 peanuts per hour, heating them to about 150 degrees Celsius for around 30 minutes. This brings out the deep, nutty flavor we all love. It's like the peanuts are getting their own little spa treatment before they're ground into that delicious peanut butter. Peanuts used in Reese's are roasted in such a way that they release the oils that enhance the flavor and smoothness of the final peanut butter. After the roasting, the peanuts are sent to the next stage, turning them into the famous Reese's peanut butter. The roasted peanuts go through a machine that shells and cools them. Then, they're ground up into a fine paste using industrial grinders. Think of it as your kitchen blender on steroids. This peanut butter isn't just plain old peanut butter you might find in a jar. It's got a special blend of sugar, salt, and some other secret ingredients to give it that slightly grainy, but oh so satisfying texture. Some rumors suggest that the secret formula might involve a dash of vegetable oils for smoothness and maybe even a touch of vanilla for flavor. Whatever it is, Works. Once the peanut butter has reached the perfect consistency, it's carefully checked for texture and taste. If it's too thick, it won't spread smoothly in the cups. Too thin? Well, let's just say you'd be in for a peanut butter mess. The goal is to make sure every single Reese's cup has that signature filling. We can't get enough of Reese's. They've mastered the art of the peanut butter to chocolate ratio. Each cup has just the right amount of peanut butter and chocolate to ensure that perfect balance of flavors in every bite. Now let's talk about the chocolate because, let's be honest, the chocolate is just as important as the peanut butter. Reese's uses a special blend of Hershey's milk chocolate, which is melted down in massive vats to create the perfect coat. But here's where it gets interesting. The melted chocolate doesn't just get poured over the peanut butter willy-nilly. The chocolate has to go through a process called tempering, which is basically a way of heating and cooling the chocolate to give it that perfect, smooth, shiny finish. This also ensures that your Reese's cup doesn't melt the moment you take it out of the wrapper, because that would be tragic. The tempering process not only gives the chocolate a smooth finish, but also gives that signature snap when you bite into a perfectly tempered chocolate shell. Once tempered, the chocolate is ready to go, but before the peanut butter can get its chocolate blanket, we need to create the base layer for the cups. So, how do they get those perfect little cups, you ask? Reese's uses specially designed molds that are loaded onto conveyor belts. These molds look like trays with hundreds of cup-shaped indentations waiting to be filled with chocolate and peanut butter. The first step in creating each cup is to pour a thin layer of chocolate into the bottom of the molds. This forms the base of the Reese's cup and gives it structure. The chocolate is rotated and spread evenly across the bottom of each mold, making sure there's a solid base to hold all that peanut butter goodness. Once the base layer of chocolate is ready, it's time to add the peanut butter filling. Using precision nozzles, a perfectly measured amount of peanut butter is squirted into the center of each chocolate base. This isn't just random squirting, oh no. The peanut butter has to be just the right amount so that every bite has that ideal balance of chocolate and peanut butter. If the peanut butter is off-center or too heavy, you've got yourself an imperfect cup. Every single cup is precision measured to ensure that the peanut butter is exactly centered in the chocolate base. That's why you never bite into an uneven Reese's cup. With the peanut butter now sitting perfectly in the center of the cup molds, it's time for the top layer of... Another stream of tempered milk chocolate flows over the peanut butter, sealing it in with that signature Reese's embrace. The chocolate is carefully poured to completely cover the peanut butter filling, ensuring it's evenly coated. At this stage, the peanut butter is fully encased in chocolate, and the molds are starting to look like the Reese's cups you know and love. The balance here is everything. Too much chocolate and you drown out the peanut butter flavor. Too little, and it's not really a Reese's. But don't worry, Reese's has been doing this for decades, so they've got it down to a science. After the cups are filled with chocolate and peanut butter, they take a nice little ride into the cooling chamber. Here, the temperature is carefully controlled to quickly cool down and harden the chocolate without affecting the peanut butter filling inside. This ensures that the chocolate sets with that nice firm shell that stays intact until you take your first bite. Reese's cooling tunnels can stretch over several hundred feet, ensuring that the cups are perfectly cooled before they hit the packaging line. The cooling process is crucial because it solidifies the cup and gives it that satisfying snap when you break into it. Once the cups have been cooled to perfection, they're ready for packaging. At this point, the Reese's cups are ready to be packed up and sent out into the world. The fully formed, cooled cups are fed into high-speed packaging machines that wrap each one in its iconic orange and yellow wrappers. These wrappers don't just protect the candy, they make it instantly recognizable. Over 40 million Reese's peanut butter cups are produced daily to meet the insatiable demand of chocolate peanut butter fans around the world. And just like the peanuts, the packaging process goes through rigorous quality control checks. The folks at Reese's don't want you getting a cup that's too smooshed or melted before it even hits the shelves. Every cup has to meet their high standards before it gets boxed up and shipped off to stores. Beyond just making mouth-watering candy, Reese's parent company, Hershey, has been working to make the production process more sustainable. They've implemented practices like sourcing peanuts from farmers who use responsible farming techniques such as crop rotation and reduced tillage, which helps protect the environment and maintain healthy soil. Into fructose, which is much sweeter. This makes high fructose corn syrup extra sweet, which is why it's used in many foods, including Oreos. Another sugar used in Oreos is regular table sugar or sucrose. Sucrose is a common sweetener made from sugar cane or sugar beets. It's used in many baked goods because it adds sweetness and helps with the texture, giving cookies a nice even feel. Sometimes Oreos also have invert sugar. Invert sugar is a mix of glucose and fructose that comes from breaking down sucrose. This type of sugar helps keep the cookie moist and gives it a smoother texture, making sure every bite of an Oreo is just right. The FDA, which stands for the Food and Drug Administration, is a government agency that makes sure the food we eat is safe. The FDA says invert sugar is safe, but like all added sugars, they suggest we don't eat too much. This is because our bodies aren't used to such high levels of sweetness, and it can make us ill, more leading to overeating. Handling and mixing sugars is very important for making the perfect Oreo cookie. The sugars are carefully measured to make sure the right amounts are used in each batch. These sugars are then added to large vats where they are mixed together. First, the sugars are blended with other dry ingredients to make sure the sweetness is spread out evenly. Then, the mixture is slowly heated to a specific temperature. Heating the sugars must be done carefully. If the temperature is too high or too fast, the sugars could caramelize, which would change the taste and texture of the cookie. As the mixture heats up, the sugars dissolve and mix completely with the other ingredients. The temperature is closely watched by sensors and factory workers to make sure the sugars don't crystallize, which could make the dough. After the sugars are dissolved, the mixture is cooled down to the right temperature. Cooling is also very important because it helps the dough stay smooth and stable. If the cooling happens too fast, the sugars could crystallize again, making the dough rough. But if it cools too slowly, the dough could become too soft and hard to work with. The cooling is usually done with air and liquid systems that slowly bring down the temperature while keeping the mixture well stirred. This makes sure the dough has a smooth and even texture. During this whole process, large paddles keep the mixture moving so that the ingredients stay evenly mixed. This helps make sure that every batch of Oreo cookie dough has the same sweetness and texture. Quality control teams check samples regularly to make sure the dough is just right. They test the dough's sweetness, texture, and moisture to ensure each batch meets Oreo's high standards. This careful handling of the sugars is what makes sure every Oreo cookie has the perfect taste and texture. People love flavor. It's a big part of what makes an Oreo taste so good. Some packages list natural flavor while others mention artificial flavor. These are general terms used by the FDA when the flavors don't come from natural sources. Vanilla is often the main ingredient that gives the Oreo filling its familiar taste. The cookie part of the Oreo is a little harder to explain because some ingredients are used in both the cookie and the filling. But one thing we know for sure is that wheat is the most important ingredient in the cookie, and we can tell because it's listed first on the package. The wheat used in Oreos isn't just plain wheat, it has extra vitamins added to it. One of these vitamins is folic acid, which is important for helping prevent some birth defects. Defects in babies by adding these vitamins. Oreo not only makes a tasty cookie but also adds a bit of nutrition. The cookie making process starts by getting the batter ready. First, large amounts of sugar, cocoa, salt, and other ingredients are mixed together with a special blend of canola oil. Then water is added, and the mixture starts to bubble like chocolate. To keep the dough from becoming too dry or crumbly, dry ice is added to cool it down quickly. This helps the dough stay soft and easy to work with. When the flour is added next, the dough is carefully divided into smaller pieces, each just the right size to make one cookie. These pieces are then shaped into the round biscuits we all know. An engraved roller then presses down on each piece, stamping the Oreo design onto every cookie, giving it that familiar look with the logo and pattern. This process happens quickly, with the machine able to make an impressive 5,000 cookies every hour. So, plenty of Oreos can be made to meet the demand of cookie lovers around the world. Once the cookies are shaped and stamped, they are sent through a long 85-meter oven. This oven bakes the cookies evenly from all sides, making sure they come out perfectly crisp. While the cookies are baking, the vanilla cream filling is being made in another part of the factory. Once it's ready, the cream is loaded into a pump that will add just the right amount to each cookie after they're baked and cooled. As the cookies cool down after, every cookie is in the right position for assembly. A special pump carefully puts the vanilla cream filling onto one side of each cookie. The pump is very precise, making sure each cookie gets the right amount of filling. After the cream is added, another cookie is pressed on top to complete the Oreo. This process is fast. In just 90 minutes, the factory can make up to 3,000 cookies every minute, ensuring that millions of Oreos are made each day to meet the demand. Before the finished cookies are packed and shipped, they go through careful checks to make sure they meet Oreo's high standards. This means that each cookie is looked at to ensure it looks and tastes just right, with the perfect amount of cream and a crisp texture. Once the cookies pass these checks, they're packed into boxes and ready to be shipped out. Sent out to stores around the world, you might notice that the packaging says, Oreos are made with bioengineered ingredients. While this might sound a bit worrying, it just means that some of the plants used to make the ingredients have had their genes changed to make them stronger, like being able to resist pests better. These changes help the plants grow better and make sure there's a steady supply of ingredients. These bioengineered ingredients are tested and approved as safe by many health and safety agencies before they're ever used in food. So when you enjoy an Oreo, you can trust that it's made with care and safety in mind. Oreos have been around for over 100 years and are sold in more than 100 countries. With around 40 billion cookies made each year, this famous treat shows how tradition and new ideas can work together. As I would say, when you're the food scientist making choices about such a well-known product, you really need to know what you're doing. And that's the inside story of an Oreo, delicious, complex, and scientifically fascinating.